Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
California is a very special state in America. It is not a real island with water all around it, but in many ways it is like one. Very high mountains and a huge dry desert separate California from the states to the east. This makes it difficult to travel over land. For this reason, California's biggest and most important cities are all on the coast. San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco are all next to the Pacific Ocean. This geography is very important in California's history. California became a state in 1850. In those early days, it did not connect to other states by land. The only good way to travel was by sea. People took a steamship from the East Coast to Panama. Then they crossed the land of Panama by foot and horse. After that, they waited for another steamship to take them to California. The entire journey took about 30 or 40 days. It was very long, but it was the fastest way. For almost 20 years, California developed in this isolated way. News and information also took many weeks to arrive. The state was not truly connected by land until 1869. In that year, the Transcontinental Railroad was finished. But in those first 2 decades, California developed its own unique identity and culture, separate from the rest of the country. This legacy of being separate continues today. For example, most of the U.S. is connected by oil pipelines. But it was too hard to build pipelines over California's mountains. So, California buys most of its oil from foreign countries. The oil arrives on enormous ships. This helps explain why gas is often more expensive there. Another example is the state's border. When you drive into California, you must stop at an agricultural inspection station. They check for pests that could harm farms. This shows how disconnected California is. The only other state that does this is Hawaii, which is made of real islands. This history created a unique state with unique problems. 2. Big money, small towns. California is very rich, and much of this wealth is in one place, Silicon Valley. The amount of money in this area is incredible. The 3 counties of Silicon Valley make about $725 billion a year. This is almost the same amount of money as the country of Poland, which has 38 million people. Many people think San Francisco is the center of Silicon Valley. It has a lot of tech companies, but the most famous companies are in smaller towns to the south. For example, Google's main office is in Mountain View, a city with only 82,000 people. Apple is in Cupertino, a city with just 60,000 residents. Netflix is in Los Gatos, a town of 34,000 people. This creates a strange situation. Some of the world's biggest companies must follow the rules of very small city governments. These small governments are very local and often compete with each other. This pattern of many small towns is common in California. The San Francisco Bay Area is a large region, but it is divided into many smaller cities. San Jose is the largest city in the area, not San Francisco. Los Angeles County is another example. It contains 88 different cities. When a big area is broken into so many small parts, it is hard to make a single plan. Each town has its own goals and interests. There is no one government to make them work together. This lack of unified planning creates problems for the entire region. 3. The homelessness crisis. Homelessness is a very serious problem in California. It is easy to see on the streets of its big cities. When we look at the numbers, it is clear that California's problem is the worst in the nation. In the year 2022, there were about 171,000 homeless people in the state. This was almost 30% of all the homeless people in the entire country. This number is much bigger than in other large states. For example, California had about 97,000 more homeless people than New York. The problem is also getting worse. From 2020 to 2022, the number of homeless people in California grew by 6%. During the same time, the number went down in 23 other states. The state government has spent millions of dollars to help, but the problem has not gone away. California's main plan is to build permanent housing. The idea is to give people a real home, not just a temporary bed. But this plan has not worked well. These permanent houses are very expensive to build. They also take a very long time to finish. While the state waits for these new houses, there are not enough shelters for people who need a place to sleep now. Because there are not enough shelter beds, a large number of people are unsheltered. This means they live outside. In 2022, 2/3 of California's homeless population lived on the streets, in cars, or in tents. This is a very high number. These people often cannot get help from services because they are not in a shelter. So, while the government focuses on a slow, long-term solution, many people are left without any immediate help or a safe place to go at night. 4. The fight over housing. The housing problem in California is not just for the homeless. It is a crisis for almost everyone. Many people in California have good jobs and make good money. But when you look at how much things cost, California becomes one of the worst states to live in. The main reason is the very high cost of housing. Renting an apartment or buying a house is extremely expensive. This high cost of living makes life difficult, even for people with well-paying jobs. A medical emergency or losing a job can quickly put a family at risk of losing their home. The biggest reason for this crisis is simple. There are too many jobs and not enough homes. California's economy is very strong. New companies start and grow, creating thousands of new jobs. But the state does not build enough new houses and apartments for all these new workers. In some big city areas, for every 3 new jobs, only 1 new home is built. When many people want to buy or rent a small number of homes, the prices go up very high. This makes it hard for new workers and even people who have lived there a long time to find a place to live. There is also a special idea called the California Dream. For many people, this dream is a picture of a perfect life. It includes a single-family house with a green lawn and maybe a swimming pool. This dream is very important to people who already live in California and own their homes. They worked hard for this dream, and they want to protect it. But this idea of every family having their own house with a big yard is a major cause of the housing problem. There is not enough space for everyone to have a house like that. Because people want to protect their California dream, they often fight against new building projects. This is a very common problem. When a builder wants to create a new apartment building, the people who live nearby often say no. They worry that new buildings will bring more cars and traffic. They worry their own home will lose value. They feel it will change their quiet neighborhood. For example, in the wealthy town of Atherton, famous people like basketball star Steph Curry joined together to stop a small apartment building. In another town, officials said their city was a mountain lion sanctuary to avoid building new homes. All over the state, people form groups and sue their own cities to stop new housing from being built. This creates a big conflict. The state government knows California needs millions of new homes. But local homeowners have a lot of power in their small cities. They use this power to stop new construction. They vote for leaders who promise to keep their towns the same. This fight happens in city after city. It makes it almost impossible to build the homes that California needs. As a result, the housing crisis gets worse every year, affecting everyone who calls the state home. 5. Too big to manage. California has big problems, and the state government wants to fix them. But it faces a big challenge from local cities and towns. These local governments are powerful. They often stop plans for new homes because they want to keep their communities the same. This is good for the people who already live there. However, it is bad for the whole region. When one town says no to new housing, the problem simply moves to another town. This creates a serious disagreement between the state and its own cities. The state has money and ideas to solve the housing shortage. But it cannot do much when local leaders resist any changes. Because the normal solutions are not working, the state government is trying new, strong actions. It is taking some cities to court. This is to force them to allow new buildings. The state is also creating laws to make it harder for local groups to stop housing projects. Housing is a huge issue, but it is not the only one. California has many other major problems that are hard to solve. There are terrible fires. Water is also a major concern. Some areas have floods, while other areas do not have enough water. People and states argue about who gets water from the Colorado River. The roads are full of traffic, and many bridges are old. Some companies and middle-class workers are leaving the state because of these issues. All these problems are growing, and nothing seems to fix them. This makes people ask, is California too big to manage? Maybe the state needs a completely different kind of solution. 6. A country of its own. California's problems are very big. Because the normal solutions are not working, some people have a very different idea. They think California should not be a state in the U.S. anymore. They believe it should become its own independent country. This idea sounds strange and extreme to many people. But it is worth looking at the reasons behind this idea. The arguments for it are based on California's size, its money, and its political power. If California was a country, it would not be a small one. In fact, it would be an important country on the world stage. It has a population of almost 40 million people, which is more than Canada. Its physical size is similar to a country like Iraq. But the most surprising fact is its economy. California's economy is so large that it would be the 5th biggest in the world. It would be richer than India and just behind Germany. So California is definitely big enough and rich enough to be its own nation. It would not be a weak country, it would be a powerful one. The financial argument is also very strong. California is a donor state. This means it sends more money to the federal government in Washington, D.C. than it gets back in federal spending. For every $1 that California sends in taxes, it only receives about 97 cents back. At the same time, many other states get much more money than they give. Some states get more than $2 back for every $1 they pay in taxes. The U.S. tax system is designed to work this way. It takes money from wealthier states to help support less wealthy states. But some people in California feel this is not fair. They ask why they should send so much of their money to other states. The other main argument is about political power. California has more people than any other state, but it does not have the political power to match its size. The U.S. government was designed to give smaller states a strong voice. For example, in the U.S. Senate, every state gets exactly 2 senators. This means California, with its huge population, has the same power as Wyoming, a state with very few people. This system also affects presidential elections. Because of the Electoral College, an individual vote in a small state is more powerful than an individual vote in California. Many Californians feel this is unfair. They feel underrepresented. They believe the government in Washington, D.C. does not care about their needs. Because of this, the state often passes its own powerful laws on issues like the environment, acting like a country of its own. 7. Splitting up the state. Leaving the country is a very extreme idea. A different, less extreme solution is to split California into smaller states. The basic idea is the same. California is too big, has too many problems, and is not represented well. Instead of becoming a new country, it could become several new states inside the United States. This idea is not new. It has been suggested more than 200 times in California's history. The most famous recent attempt was in 2018. A billionaire investor named Tim Draper started a plan called 3 Californias. His proposal was to divide the big state into 3 parts. There would be a new Northern California, a new Southern California, and a state in the middle that would keep the name California. The plan tried to make the 3 new states balanced with similar numbers of people and wealth. The argument for this plan was about making government work better. Supporters felt the state government was too large and too far away. It could not understand the needs of local communities. Smaller states would have smaller governments that are closer to the people they serve. Another big argument was about power in Washington, D.C. The U.S. system gives every state 2 senators, no matter how many people live there. By splitting into 3 states, the people of the region would get 6 senators instead of just 2. This would give them a much stronger voice in the federal government. Tim Draper's plan got enough support to be put on the ballot for a state vote. He collected more than the necessary 367,000 signatures. But the plan failed. Before people could vote on it, the California Supreme Court removed it from the ballot. The court said the plan was unconstitutional. Polls also showed that most voters did not like the idea. Only about 17% of people supported it. Even if a plan like this passes a state vote, it faces a very big challenge. The U.S. Congress in Washington, D.C. must also approve it. This would almost certainly not happen. Democrats would worry about breaking up a state that is strongly Democratic. Republicans would not want to create 4 new Senate seats for politicians who would probably be left-leaning. For both political parties, it could set a dangerous example for the rest of the country. So these big solutions seem to fail, just like the small ones. 8. The exception to the exception. Many people believe the United States is a special country. They think it is different from all other nations in the world. This idea is called American exceptionalism. It comes from America's unique history and geography. Because of this belief, the country often looks for its own unique solutions to problems. It might not use ideas that work well in other places, like in Europe. There is a feeling that America's problems need special American answers. California is also a very special place, but it is special inside America. This makes it an exception within an exception. So we can call it the exception to the exception. The state is very different from the rest of the country. It has the biggest economy of any state. Its culture is famous around the world. Just like America, California has a strong belief that it is unique. This way of thinking changes how California deals with its big problems. The state has serious issues with housing, homelessness, water, and fires. But instead of using simple solutions that have worked in other states or countries, California often looks for new, complicated answers. Simple ideas are often rejected because they do not feel special enough for California. Leaders and citizens want a Californian way to fix things. This can make problems bigger and harder to solve over time. In many ways, California's problems are America's problems. The challenges the U.S. faces are often bigger and easier to see in California. The state is like a clear, strong version of the entire country. It was built on the California dream, an idea of a perfect place with endless opportunity. It was America's America. This makes it difficult for people to accept normal, maybe boring solutions. They want big, exciting answers for their big, exciting state. The story of California is the story of a place trying to be different. But this effort to be special also creates very special problems. What do you think? Should California keep trying to find its own unique answers, or should it use the simple solutions that have worked in other places?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.